Alright, so first I want to start by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Akakadash. I mean, double honors to the apostles and elders of James from the stone and to that Timothy that's pushing this through. In sincerity, the full Shalom. This is the brother Canaan out here at the highways and edges once again. I know the prophesy the downfall of the society, you know what I mean, which is mainly Mr. Babylon the Great. You know, the Lord sent us to prophesy against America and its collapse and destruction that is coming. Not only that, to also warn our people about the time of Jacob's trouble. And our people are you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans predominantly. You are the true sons and daughters of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You know what I mean? You've been scattered throughout the earth through captivity, you know what I mean, by the enemy, the so-called white man, because you have sinned against the Lord. And the Lord is now sending his prophets in the edges, highways and edges, to come and, you know, call you back to the fold, to remind you who you are, to remind you that you have a power, and that power is, you know, basically here for you. I know if you believe and accept that, you know what I mean, and you know, the Lord will have mercy upon you and preserve you. And I mean, we are also here to warn you of the MOTD, you know what I mean, the R-fighting chip that is being prepared, you know, to basically draw you away into debt. Because if you take that chip, the Lord is going to destroy you. You know what I mean? And the so-called white man agenda is in full flight, you know what I mean? The process already take off, you know what I mean? And it's coming to that big point where a decision is going to be, you're going to have to make a decision, you know what I mean? So, you know, the prophets are here to warn you, you know what I mean, of that time, and to basically remind you of who you are. No, we were brought into captivity by the so-called white man, as I said earlier, which is our enemy. And while in that captivity, we've been destroyed from stages to stages. We see we're basically, you know what I mean, they would have worked so hard to destroy the name of Israel, you know what I mean, that is your nationality, you know what I mean, and gave you a lot of by names, by words. You know, calling yourself so-called Jamaicans, so-called West Indians, so-called Africans, so-called Americans, African American, you know, Negroes, all Hispanics, you know, Native Americans, all these terms you have accepted as who you are. And that is really to destroy you. You know what I mean? But the white man did not only just stop there. He's been working on basically, you know, destroying you. They've been working on destroying you on a mental standpoint and even on a physical standpoint. So what changed really since you came into captivity? You know what I mean? You were basically told that basically you're free, which is far from the truth. You know what I mean? Slavery is abolished. I know you're basically free to do whatever you like in the prison house, as they put it, or as it is, which shows you that basically they only just remove the shackles and the chains that were basically on you and let you to walk around in their prison house, as I said, with a lot of laws that are basically here to destroy you. Not only that, they set up a system, you know what I mean? Overall system, whether it be the financial system, a medical system, to basically keep you down. You know, they've been working on your body for years now, decades, providing you with medical, so-called medications, you know, jobs and that, you know, those vaccines basically that exist out there. You know, I know they're coming out and they're talking against themselves. Because when we, as the prophets, you know what I mean, come out and tell you these things, because we are not in these positions, so to speak, or we don't look like the enemy, or we don't dress and carry ourselves like the enemy, you see yourself no value. You see what the word of what the prophets of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai as nobodies. We're true, really and truly we are nobodies, but the word that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai gave us to give unto you is everything that you need to escape what is to come. and Yahweh Shai is everything. So the messenger just giving the message. You know what I mean? No, they coming out now, Trump and some other, persons that whistleblowers are doctors. You know what I mean? They are, coming out and telling you that, hepatitis B vaccines and all these other vaccines that contains mercury and aluminum and all these other heavy metals, you know what I mean, are, that is not, it's not made for your body, it's foreign to your body, you know what I mean? Basically, you're causing a lot of damages, and the science is saying so, you know what I mean? But the science that was always true. It's just that you people don't believe in truth, and you care not to believe in truth. And even if you hear the truth, majority of y'all just walk on. I've been, they don't really take much of it. You continue. Not saying that the system don't force you, because again, if you refuse or try to rebel, they try to clap down on you or take your children. But still, they start with the ones that are weaker, the ones that they can work on, your children. They start to feed on your children by giving them these medications, so to speak, which are really to destroy them. Right? So, I'm going to read the first precept. Lord is basically telling you, wake up and come out of this society so you can save. But let me just read this real quick. This is Baruch 3, and let's start from verse 8. It says, Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord, our power. You know what I mean? So we departed from the Lord from back then, our foreparents, and that's how we came into captivity. And we are yet in this day, this day, you know what I mean, 2025, October, in the land of our captivity, being what? Subject to payments, paying taxes, paying bills, utility bills, paying all type of payments, basically, as it says, you know what I mean? But not only just that, there are people today now in Jamaica, basically, that are hearing news that, hey, your beaches are not your beaches. It is the ownership of the beaches belong to the crown. You know what I mean? Which goes back to what? England. You know what I mean? The King of England basically possess those land. And not just the beaches, the lands that are here. Which is why you still pay taxes. You know what I mean? Because it really belongs to the crown. Which is why when there's a state of emergency, you know what I mean? If the state feels it is fit or fitting to possess or repossess any of its property to accomplish whatever goals it has, it can do it. Because the state main objective is to preserve itself. Which is why you have a thing that they call what? Continuity of government. You know what I mean? And you, the servants, the slaves on the plantation are not you're not more important than the state. Which it shouldn't be that way, because you are the ones that's supposed to bring life to society, but again, are not supposed to bring life to society, but again, it's all about control. The ones who are in power are above you want to keep it that way so that you don't rise up and overthrow them. You know what I mean? So they make, like I said, laws and rules that oppresses you. But again, you don't listen to the prophets. So now you're hearing some people coming out and saying these things. You're alarmed, you're shocked. But we've been saying these things for years. You know what I mean? For years. But the scripture says, you know what I mean? Which I'm going to get that as well. that the wise man, the poor man's wisdom is despised. Right? The poor man's wisdom is despised. So because, like I said, we are nobodies to you, you don't listen to what we have to say. That's what are the prophets. You don't listen to what the prophets have to say to you, even though it's beneficial to you in keeping you alive, in bringing you back to your power. You don't want to listen to that. Alright? Now, like I've been speaking on all the so-called lies that the white man would have, put upon you people throughout slavery, up to now. You know what I mean? You tell you that you're free. I'll give you, like I said, I gave you independence. You know what I mean? But you're still being oppressed. You still feel restricted. You still feel like the land that you're on doesn't belong to you because, again, no one really owns any property. Like I said, your title that you are holding on to is a land holder, holding in on the crown's land. And the government take possession, or when the government, whoever is in government, they are representing what? The crown. Now there's a big push for Jamaica to become a republic. Now what does that have to do with you being free? Being a republic, you know what I mean, it's just an illusion, again, to make you feel as if you're so-called free. You know what I mean? Because really and truly, your leaders are still going to follow the rules of the earth, the so-called white man, through these UN charters, through these New World Order plans, the Agenda 2030. You know what I mean? Vision 2030, I should say. You know what I mean? Agenda 21. All these labeling that they have out there for their plan. It's still in effect. And that plan is to what? You will own nothing and be happy. So what change is coming really? More than you're going to be more oppressed. That just like back then, you know what I mean? And the objective is to what? It eventually unalive a lot of you people. Because the white man sees you as a threat to him. He sees you as nobodies to the society. So therefore, just like how he's working and providing you with, a lot of so-called medication, false science to destroy you, eventually he's going to just say, hey, to hell with this. And what he might just basically, he might just pop up or, unleash some form of pandemic. You know what I mean? That just see people falling left, right, and center. But those that are protected by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua in that time will escape the things that are to come. Those pestilence and disease that will mass, kill other people in mass numbers. The prophet, the servants of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua will be protected in that time. You know what I mean? Now, let me go to some other precept. You have to see that. Right. I can pause this with that one. Let me go to the next precept I have. Right? So this is Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 19. It says, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. Right? It says, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Right? That's what you people gonna wake up to. Some of you. You know what I mean? Some of you Negroes, Latinos, and even Americans, you're gonna wake up, thankfully, that you are the true Israelites. You know what I mean? And you're gonna be saved. But a lot of you people not gonna wake up as well. But the ones that wake up, they're gonna realize that, hey, our foreparents were taught lies. your grandmother and your grandfather they were taught to embrace being a Jamaican, and they were taught to teach you that way. You know what I mean? To lead you onto that path. They were taught to trust the so-called white man, the enemies. The man that spew lies upon lies upon lies. They tell you to trust the science. But when the science, which is science, go to what? Truth. When the truth comes out, you know what I mean? They don't want to go with it, yo. Which what they're really doing is what trying to stir up you for you to revolt and rebel. But you're so dumbed down to the point, you know what I mean? These jabs and these vaccines that you've been taking destroy your mind so much you're in deep sleep. It's hard for you to wake up, yo. And it's when in a deep sleep and you slap them across them face trying to wake them up. And they say, but they're still in sleep. Some of you people that even say, dead sleep, yo. Lost sheep don't know your head from your foot. You know what I mean? And that's why there's so many illnesses affecting you. And you think that, hey, why am I obese? Why am I overweight? Why am I unhealthy? You think it's normal for people to just walk around with all these fats on their body? But you don't know to yourself that you're unhealthy, being where you say, no, you're tickers. You find ways to comfort the lies. And then the white man, again, through media houses, tell us, look here, man. It's okay to embrace who you are. You know what I mean? Be proud of yourself. Nothing is wrong with if you weigh 300 pounds. If you're above the body mass index, nothing is wrong with that. You know what I mean? And shaming. What real shame go to? What shame go to what? Sin, yo. When you sin, you're supposed to be shamed. You know what I mean? And because we're eating things that are unhealthy, whether through lack of knowledge or through just the white man feeding you from that bottle, while you're unaware, you know what I mean? You're still committing that iniquity. You know what I mean? You're eating pork and all these things through various items that you don't know. Whilst when you go directly to do it, you know? And them tell you, oh, this is not linked to that disease. This is not linked to that disease. But now you're here again, as I said, you're hearing men saying, the science is saying, this amount of percentage of deaths would have been linked to this big C or to other bucks. You know what I mean? When are you going to learn not to trust the so-called white man and his lies? When are you going to learn that he's a liar from the beginning? When are you going to learn that? Some of you are going to wait until it's too late, yo. When you're on your deathbed and you realize, say, oh, you've been caught. You know what I mean? When you realize that you've been caught, let me read this real quick. This is Job 13:4. It says, but you are forgers of lies. You're all physicians of no value. You know what I mean? Forgers of lies. You know? That is the white man motto, yo, to tell you lies. That's why he's the devil. So the Bible refers to the ones that are ruling this earth today as the devil. Lucifer. The Illuminati. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are ignorant to the words. So when they say, oh, the so-called white man, you know what I mean, is the devil, or whatever, they say, that's rubbish because it's pure in their eyes. But when you talk about the Illuminati and the secret society, and those who profess themselves to have high wisdom, and I mean, studying Freemason, all these things and whatever, and I mean, going into these evil cultist movements, they basically put these things or brand the so-called white man with these things, yo. But that's what Lucifer means. You know what I mean? Light bearer, Illuminati, light, illuminate. But we lack the knowledge of what words mean, so therefore things are hard for us to accept. Are hard for you to accept. You know what I mean? But if you pray and beg for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to, step in and sup with you and give you this knowledge, He will give you this knowledge, yo, because you're his sons. And He cares for you. If you repent and turn back to Him, yo, He's going to reach out and He's going to protect you. He's going to give you what you need to endure the time to come. But you don't believe in God, you say you do, but that's not the truth based on your actions. You know what I mean? They don't read the Bible properly and pray to God. They don't do that. I don't want to hear the teachers of the Lord talking to you. They don't try to prove things for yourself. So therefore, you are every wind and every lies that established on earth, you're easily caught in it. You know what I mean? Tossed to and fro, following the lies, like I said. Only when you hear truth, because it offends and it cuts, and it doesn't match with your lifestyle, that's when you rebel against what is beneficial unto you. That's when you rebel against what is profitable unto you. You know what I mean? I'll move to the next precept. So this is First Timothy, verse 6, and let me just go to the point, verse 20. It says, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, false so-called." Yes, avoid false science, yo. So-called truth, false truth. Like I said, you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. Avoid lies, yo. But you've made lies your bed. What are some of the lies that you've made your bed? That you are independent and free. While you're in Jamaica, and majority of what you eat on a daily basis is not from your so-called country, which means that you're depending on other people to provide for you. And the ones that try to so-called farm for themselves, the so-called white man and his groups, his big groups, they come down hard on you, yo. You have to go through them. Oh, you must register. Get registered. Oh, you must get them fertilization, the fertilizer. You know what I mean? You must get them seed, which is going back to what? Some form of GMO, which again is to attack you and your health. Say you're a young man in your 20s, and then the ear say you're fertile, your fertility, fertility problems, infertile. Right? Problems. Get that woman pregnant. You know what I mean? Here said the women have issues with their natural cycle. Something not work properly. Big things happen to them, yo. Not knowing that the so-called white man been working on your body. Being a false physician. Right? But it's not too late. At this point, yo, the mercy again for you to return, you know what I mean, and to be healed and protected, to enter into the kingdom of heaven is still here for you. But you have to have faith. You have to believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You have to believe that you are His people. I mean, you say that you are the people of God, but we say that you are Israelites. They said, no, but the word Israel means he is the prince of God, the sons of God. Then how would you attach being a child of God to yourself, but no one name that makes you a child of God? Again, destroyed for lack of knowledge, yo. Not knowing your head from your foot. The Bible says, let me get that. You know? Alright, so this is Isaiah 1 and verse 2. Right? It says here, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel, Yasha'Allah, the sons and of Hashem Yahushai, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, you know what I mean, or wherever you are in the four corners of the earth, you don't know who you are, right? It says, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. You're not even considering who you truly are. You know what I mean? You're running the narrative out of 21 people, which is utterly rubbish. So now, Trump says what? You know what I mean? They're saying, if you were to leave Jamaica, any other islands, or any nations you're in, being pregnant, and you're coming to their country, you know what I mean, to have what? So-called, to give birth, have a child, not because you end up on that land, or end up in that land, and you give birth in that land, that don't make your child a so-called American. But they say your nationality is where you were born. Utter hypocrisy. And again, if you do the research, you realize that a lot of nations don't give a citizenship or nationality, so to speak, in their country, or give a birthright citizenship in their country, just because you're born there. It's a trap and a trick that you have embraced as a country. But guess what? When white man born in Jamaica, they are so-called Jamaican. When Chinese born in Jamaica, they are so-called Jamaican. You don't give a F who the person be or who are them four parents. Once they are born here, you accept that they are one of you. You embrace them. You make it easy for them to be so-called attached to you, which is all a lie. So again, you trust and love the lies, yo. You know? But the so-called man knows what he's doing. He uses things that are convenient unto him whenever, you know, like I said, convenient to him. He made these so-called lies available to you, but when you want to change narratives, or when you want to change up things, or when you want to disturb your mental, or, you know, to wake you up, for you to rebel, so you can analyze you, for you to be protesting, him give you these small things, yo. It tells you a little truth. And say, he was like this all along. Hell yeah, he was like this all along. If the truth don't change, you know what I mean? The truth don't change. It remains the same, yo. And if you learn something, and then later down the line, you realize that what you learned wasn't actually the truth, it meant that it wasn't the truth. mean? So, you have to wake up, yo. You have to wake up and realize that you're in a war, and that without your power, without the weapon that will protect you in that time, the armor that will protect you in that time, you're going to lose the war. You don't go to war bare-handed when men have military power and might towards you. No, this is not a plea for you to basically
Single army.
not a plea for you to go and get physical weapons. You know what I mean? But the weapon that you need is what? Yahweh. What Yahweh Shai. They will Father and His Son. Because He has a army, but He has an army to protect you. He's going to protect you. If you so believe in Him. You know what I mean? If you accept and believe in Him, you know what I mean? Then, like I said, you're going to be protected. Alright? So let me get to the next precept. As a matter of fact, let me just go a little bit into that. And then, okay. Alright, so let's go to Jeremiah. Back to Jeremiah 16. Alright, so Jeremiah 16. Alright, so let me just go through it a little, right? Let me just read it. I'm gonna start from verse. Right? Let's start from 16 and verse 10. Right? It says, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt shew this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? And for what is our iniquity, right? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our power? Then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, said the Lord, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, right? And have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my laws, and ye have done worse than your fathers. For behold, you walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart, and that they may not hearken unto me. The Bible is saying that you walk after your own mind, what you think is right, what you believe that is pure and beneficial unto you. You have forsaken Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, the Heavenly Father, you know what I mean? And you've made lies your strength and your power. Then you're going to fall for doing so. Alright? Let's continue.